Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. This is Egberto Willies. We're going to have a great show today. Things are going crazy, as you know, with the election. We had the FBI director now on an attack on Clinton. Many folks are not willing to quite say that. It is a concerted attack on Hillary Clinton, no matter what you believe. The reality about it is this was a political event. Everybody is trying to, both Democrats alike and Republicans are trying to dance around the real issue. They're trying to make believe that the reason Hillary Clinton, this new email attack is out, it's something that he had to do, or if he didn't have to do it, he just made a mistake. This is a political attack on Democrats by a Republican FBI director under pressure from the Republicans. Make no mistake about it. Let's get the facts straight. This is a concerted effort to bring down Hillary Clinton. It is a calculated effort to bring down Hillary Clinton. So let's not make any bones about what this really is. Many people want you to believe that somehow this is one so very ethical guy that he wouldn't do such a thing. The reality is there's no ethics, there's no morals in what this person has done. So let's we have a bit of a technical difficulty here, so bear with me a second. Let's get that fixed and we'll take care of that. What happened here? Bear with me 1 second. Yeah, I think we got that fixed. Anyhow, do not be dismayed by what is occurring, however, because what we're going to talk about today is this serious? Is this a problem? So anyhow, let's go ahead and get busy with the show. Let's start talking about the show. The panic is, I titled this show today, FBI Director's Biased Entry into Election May Help Hillary Clinton's Chances. And I really mean that. I think it's a wake-up call that we needed. The panic is on in the Democratic circles. Did the FBI director's October surprise change the election? Is it a net positive or a net negative for Hillary Clinton? I do not think it is bad at all. I mean, yes, we know what's going on, but I think we're getting a little lackadaisical. In fact, I believe it could be a net positive. I'll explain that when I start with the blog of the week. Anyhow, folks, what are your thoughts? Let's talk about it. I'll also be following the hashtag Politics Done Right. And not only good morning, Mike Jones. I'm not only going to be following the hashtag Politics Done Right, but the Twitter. Remember that the Twitter is Egberto Willies is my Twitter. Good morning, Rhonda. How are you doing this morning? So anyhow, no despair, folks. Panic, relative panic, but we'll go into that a little bit later. But suffice it to say, for those who are just coming online, there are two things that you've been hearing. You've been hearing that the FBI Director, James Comey, is a man of stature. You've heard that this man, James Comey, is a respectable guy. You heard that this guy, Comey, even as much as he's a Republican, a partisan Republican, that he's not a partisan Republican, but somehow he's a good guy. The reality is the Republican Party got to him, and the attacks got to him and he responded accordingly. I understand it, man. Don't be worried. Just get people out there to vote. And that is what this show is also going to be about. This should be an empowering message. This attack on Hillary Clinton now should be an empowering message. But you guys know what time it is. If I can find my entry into what time it is now. Let's see.
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay. Good morning, Ray. How you doing, cuz? El primo mío. Okay, this morning I woke up. I was sleeping on that last night, so I didn't write the blog yet. I was trying to think about it, and then this morning I woke up to a good surprise. Good morning, Marian Castiglia. How are you doing? I woke up to a good surprise, and it was an article written by Kurt Eichenwald. But let's go ahead and start from the beginning. The title is FBI Director Bias Entry into Election May Help Hillary Clinton's Chances, and the subtitle, Kurt Eichenwald describes the anger against James Comey in a new Hillary Clinton attack, and that video is also found in the blog. But here we go. FBI Director James Comey inserted himself into the 2016 election by releasing a 3-paragraph letter to Congress 11 days before the election about investigating Uma Abedin, a Hillary Clinton staffer. That's her right-hand person. Look, the Democratic panic is now rampant. But my question is, should we be in a Democratic panic or not? We do not yet know for sure if FBI director's irresponsible act will affect the election of Hillary Clinton, but my hunch is that it is a net positive. Before I explain, it is important to understand what FBI Director James Comey did exactly. Kurt Eichenwald wrote a must-read piece titled, and I have a link to the piece in the article, titled Hillary Clinton's Emails. The real reason the FBI is reviewing more of them. He explains in detail what it goes. But I'm going to read 3 short paragraphs of what he had in the article. The revelation that FBI has discovered additional emails convulsed the political world and led to widespread and erroneous claims and speculation. Many Republicans proclaim that the discovery suggests Clinton may have broken the law, while Democrats condemned FBI Director James Comey for disclosing this information less than 2 weeks before the election, claiming he did it for political purposes. Continuing with Eichenwald's piece, Donald Trump, the Republican nominee, said the development showed his opponent had engaged in corruption on a scale we have never seen before, while Clinton called for the FBI to release all of the information it has, saying the American people have a right to know everything. Continuing with his post, the truth is much less explosive. Again, the truth is much less explosive. There is no indication the emails in question were withheld by Clinton during the investigation, the law enforcement officials told Newsweek, nor does the discovery suggest she did anything illegal. And of course we knew that. Also, none of the emails were to or from Clinton, the officials said. Moreover, despite the widespread claims in the media that this development had prompted the FBI to reopen the case, it did not. It did not reopen the case. Such investigations are never actually closed, and it is common for law enforcement to discover the new information that needs to be examined. So said Eichenwald. Okay. We'll respond to the messages down below in a little bit. Hillary Clinton gave a short press conference to address the FBI director's attack on her campaign. She said the following: I have now seen Director Comey's letter to Congress. We're 11 days out from perhaps the most important national election of our lifetime. Voting is already underway in our country. The American people deserve to get the full and complete facts immediately. The director himself have said he doesn't know whether the emails referenced in his letter are significant or not. I'm confident whatever they are will not change the conclusion reached in July. Therefore, it is imperative that the Bureau explain the issue in question, whatever it is, without delay. So I look forward to moving forward to focus on the important challenges facing the American people, winning on November 8th, and working with all Americans to build a better future for our country. Thank you. That's a message from Hillary. Democratic voting is currently brisk. Actually, it is very brisk in many of the swing states. Hillary Clinton is, whoops, there goes my screen. Hillary Clinton is up in the polls anywhere from a durable 3 to 10% with a real clear in politics average of about 4.6%. Here's the deal. My concern is that 11 days out, many people thought 11 days out that Hillary Clinton had already won this. They thought it was a foregone conclusion. Many watch the cable news and the network news believing that these guys have a crystal ball. Here is a reality, or here is the reality. Donald Trump has a lot of supporters, dedicated supporters, ill-informed supporters. His campaign is engaged in guerrilla social media tactics. His campaign uses a magical misinformation type email chains that are very effective for low information voters. A significant percentage of Americans. Trump made many Americans believe that they are under attack from the other and establishment politics. An energized Trump voter thinks Trump is their savior, and their evangelical leaders are telling them that he is God sent. I point to a link that I wrote at Daily Kos that actually made that a complete argument. But folks, I now detect a sort of panic that this election is not over. Many who earlier believed that the election was over are now rethinking that belief. I am receiving emails sounding the alarm. This panic is a good thing. I mean, look, you guys know, let me drop from the blog for a minute, that I was a strong Bernie Sanders supporter. Apparently, Willie's Media LLC is now on the Hillary Clinton list, because now I've already received talking points and requests for interviews for their folks to explain this particular issue. So this tells you that they're on board as far as thinking that they are going to nip this on the butt. They're not going to let it slide. They're going to put the messages out there already. Anyway, I'm receiving emails sounding the alarm. This panic is a good thing. However, I really believe this panic is a good thing. Why? It ensures we continue to encourage everyone to vote. It means folks will take every single effort to vote, irrespective of any inconvenience that would otherwise cause them not to vote if they were assured that Hillary Clinton had this win in hand, which isn't the case. The case is the folks need to go out there to vote. I was watching MSNBC and CNN earlier today, where you have all these new Trump voters saying now they were all resigned that there was a good likelihood that he was going to lose. Now this simply saying we're actually looking at some other emails. That was enough to revive them. That was enough to tell them that just maybe there's a possibility that he could win. Well, you know what? I didn't need to see a reopening of the case. The case wasn't reopened. I didn't need to see that more emails surface to know that this thing was never over. Two things, and I will play the identity card here. A woman will always have a huge difficulty in this type of an election, and many say, well, if we had another woman other than Hillary Clinton, are you kidding me? Hillary Clinton is one of the toughest women out there. We have to admit that. And the truth of the matter is that is a type of first woman we probably needed, somebody who's been through the fire. Let me go through a few of the messages, and I'm coming to you 210 in a minute. Let's see. Ray said the media is trying hard to make it appear it is not a partisan decision by Comey. Well, 24 hours later, we're finding out he's a staunch Republican who's only looking out for himself. Absolutely the case, absolutely the case. It is a sad day in America when Republicans cheer on Russians for hacking the DNC servers. And besides myself, when folks are happy to see WikiLeaks releasing emails that was meant for their peers. True. Christy Hill said, that was from Ray Holder. Christy Hill, Cahill says, did Comey do this to get fired when he was instructed by DJ not to inform Congress? Well, Loretta Lynch is in a difficult position here, Christy, and the reason why is because she was on the tarmac sitting down with Bill Clinton. She kind of took herself out of the loop so he can fly just about solo, because if she could have ordered him not to do it, she did not order him not to do it because of conflict of interest, given the meeting that she had with Bill Clinton on the this thing. Anyway, folks, remember that this is the call-in show. The telephone number is 646-929-2495 if you want to be on air. 646-929-2495. Of course, if you send me messages like Christy Cahill, Ray Holder, Greg Diggs. Hey, Greg Diggs, they discovered the emails. Let's see what Greg has to say. They discovered the emails while searching the disgraced senator from New York, the ones that exposed himself to ladies. Help me, I can't remember his name. That is Anthony Weiner. Help me, I can't remember his name, but that's how they got the emails. That's surely how they got it. Christy Cahill, there is an understanding not to release within 60 days. You're correct that that's an understanding. That's an understanding that, notice whenever things involve Democrats, understandings and standard procedures never follow suit. Why? Because I guess only liberals abide by laws. You know what I mean? But anyhow, folks, give me a call, 646-929-2495. Again, that number is 646-929-2495 if you want to have a message. I think we have already here John from San Antonio. Come on in, John. How are thou doing?
Good afternoon, Egberto. How you doing?
So far, so good, John. So far, so good. Talk to me.
All right. I'm not quite as optimistic as you are. I mean, I'm optimistic about the facts on the ground.
Right.
Because I think the facts on the ground actually, favor Clinton. I think that there's really, just a incredibly small chance that this is actually going to do her real damage by the law.
Right.
But, we live in a media environment to where, the times where Trump has gotten closer, there's been 3 yo-yo periods to where Trump has gotten really close in the polls, and all of them have dealt with negative, email exposure and also negative stories put out by the Trump campaign.
Right.
And so I'm not so sure that this is actually going to be a blessing. I mean, I think what's happening now is you're getting a lot of pushback, and so I'm hoping that that's going to continue. We'll just have to see how media plays it. I thought media played it pretty poorly yesterday.
Horrendous, yes.
It's just like the Pence story. The plane went off the thing, and all the news stops. No one was injured. But let's stop the news for 2 hours or more because he went off the ramp. And so this is typical. I think of there's a lot of great coverage from people in the media, but in this particular case, and I think this happens too often, is that they focus on breaking news and then they forget about everything else, and they don't really try to think about, is this really significant or not? And so I think that they've overplayed this story, and hopefully there'll be a backlash in saying that let's actually get to the real facts of the story. And so hopefully that will happen.
Let me first say I don't know that they're really going to get to the per se facts of the story, because that's not how our media operate. And not only that, they like the sensationalism, and they also want the horse race. This media is dying for a horse race. They want a close election. They want to be covering this like it's real coverage, like if Donald Trump has any reason to be president, like like if Donald Trump was even qualified to be president. But that said, I mean, that is my opinion at least. I don't think they're ever going to get the coverage right. In fact, I think on tomorrow morning, we're going to have to be very vigilant with the morning shows, where bloggers are going to have to cut those videos up and really slam them, because what they're going to do is they're not going, in my opinion, I don't think, and we'll see that tomorrow, they won't be going at the meat of the issue, which there's not really any meat there, right? What happens is they have a laptop, and somehow 11 days before the election, they decide to check the laptop 11 days before the election. Come on, let's be real now. I mean, and see that it actually has some sort of a other emails on it. It is the height of hypocrisy to believe that somehow this was not politically motivated by likely establishment FBI characters within the FBI itself, that themselves, in my opinion, are partisan. And I really think Comey was just a tool necessary to do, to go ahead and execute this. But I want to get off of, here's the deal. People know who Donald Trump is, and I think there are likely more October surprises coming. I think there are more October surprises coming on both against Donald Trump and against Hillary. What's hurtful for me right now is yesterday we had a couple of other women show up on Donald Trump, and it didn't make the news, right? They said one line and then they moved on to emails. And which is more probative for this election? What, that yet another woman shows up, or that they're researching Uma Abedin's email? And those are the things that, so to believe that the news media is going to get any better, we shouldn't expect that. What we should expect, and let me tell you what I mentioned in my blog that's very important. Trump is working the anti-media. In other words, Trump has left the media a long time ago. He has left the media a long time ago. And he's established his own media. When we've always spoken around here at Coffee Party or at KPFT about being the media, that's what we're talking about, because Trump has created an under media that has a large base. And his increase in this little bump up in his increase, people are saying, oh, it's because of what just happened with the FBI release. No, he has been working the grassroots. That guy Bannon that's working for him has been using the alt-right to get that base secured. I don't know what's in your feed, but in my particular feed, I am getting a whole lot of Trump information now. I'm getting a whole lot of Trump videos. I'm getting a whole lot of Trump banners that are telling me, that is showing me how this guy is operating. I'm getting emails from friends who are on Trump's emails lists. So Trump is hitting all the backstories. And my fear is, I see a lot of chain letters from Hillary that's saying, give me $5, give me $10, or all the different groups that are working with her, give me $10. But I don't see the chain letters that are saying, making the case for Hillary and making the case against Donald Trump. And that has to be a part of the entire picture. Yes, they have their numbers game. Yes, they have all of that. But what Trump is doing underneath on the social media sites, on the social media domains, is powerful. And to some extent, it is election year lasting. And I don't see enough of that from the Clinton campaign. And you say, John?
Well, I mean, I see it. I mean, I'm not as involved with social media, I think, as you are. But I mean, what I did see is that, in the past week, and I mean, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the polls because, I mean, I do think it's important.
Right.
And I think you've kind of mischaracterized some things. So I'll go ahead and just say, it's very important to go out and vote. I did my research yesterday. I'm going to vote probably Monday or Tuesday, or do an early vote here in San Antonio. So the most important thing is to vote. Okay, so that being said, let me just say that I think the reason why Trump has gained some ground even before this happened, During the 3 debates, we saw how obnoxious Trump was.
Right.
But there are a lot of Republicans who, really believe in those social values and believe in those economic values who were turned off by Trump. But now that the debates are over, they don't see Trump as much, or they only see him giving his speeches, which are almost all negative towards Clinton, and they already have a negative idea about Clinton. And so that's why I think the polls are getting closer. Mm-hmm. Now, in the betting markets, it's gone from almost overnight, it went from 81% to 75%.
Right.
And we'll see if that holds. I do think the media, the media is searching for the truth. I mean, you mentioned the Eichenwald piece, which was a good piece.
Yes,
on Lawrence
yes.
O'Donnell last night. And so there was also a piece in the Washington Post talking about the disapproval of the DOJ. So as the truth comes out, I think that that's going to favor Clinton more. The only negative thing that I could possibly see is if Clinton actually sent a classified email to Huma Abedin, and somehow, let's say it was on Wiener's laptop. I mean, that's the only negative thing that could possibly happen that I can think of. And the fact that they're interviewing Anthony Weiner, well, I just don't think that she would do that. I said that several months ago on your show. I just don't think that she would be so stupid to send classified emails and all those things that had a little C in the bottom. She pushed back against that and said that they weren't classified.
Right. Well,
a lot of those were chain
Right. The thing about it is you don't have to, even if she sent a classified email, if it was done erroneously, if it were done by mistake. And the truth, what drives me crazy is for anyone to believe that this woman simply would want to move classified emails over an unsecured channel. It's kind of childish, right? Because no politician, whether Republican or Democrat, wants to do anything like that. Most of the times, those would be things that they just made a mistake and they didn't see a C or they didn't see or whatever, and that would cause them to, that's the only reason they'll do that. So even if she sent a classified message to Huma Abedin, the mere fact that Huma uses several different email address, that's something that can happen all the time. Let me give my personal example. I'm a director for on Coffee Party USA. We have all the directors and chair people have Coffee Party email addresses, egberto@coffeeparty.com. My main email address is egberto@egbertowillies.com. Many times I will get an email that was sent to egberto@coffeepartyusa.com, and when I reply because my reply is automated to egberto@egbertowillies.com. What I would do is issue a reply, and that's what it replies with the reply to or from. So it's not at all difficult for something like that to occur. Again, it's not criminal. It is just not paying attention 100% of the times. So even if that occurred, that wouldn't be something criminal that they found. Now, let me go to the Facebook a bit. And by the way, folks, you can call at 646-929-2495. Again, that number is 646-929-2495. Address some of the folks in the room. Let's see, Rhonda, you said you were frustrated when he announced there were no changes, then proceeded to throw out badly she behaved. Yeah, and that is something the FBI doesn't do. They don't, if they close a case, or not close a case, if they decide they're not going to charge in a case, that's it. You just don't hear from them. The partisanship here was to appease Republicans, to appease his party. What he did after he came out and said, we will press no charges, is he decided that he needed to put some salt into the wound, into Hillary's wound. He wanted to damage her. Everybody took that as, or most folks just said, oh, well, he's a straight shooter. No, from the beginning, I said the same thing. He should, by FBI precedent, he should not have done that, period. So you're right. Now, Ledo, as usual, let's see what Ledo had to say. Ledo says, but how do you spin clearly criminal activity? What criminal activity? It is funny. There were many times that that the Congress, Senate, and Congress were under control of one party, the Republican Party, when they were after Clinton, when they were after both Hillary and Bill. And the fact of the matter is they were never, ever able to bring criminal charges over 30 years. Put it this way, if they're a criminal and they can escape criminality for 30 years, my God, so be a criminal. It is not possible if these guys were criminals. I mean, do they abide by the law? Do they also go as far as the law would let them do? Well, when they ask Donald Trump, hey, why don't you pay taxes? It is wrong for you not to pay taxes. He said, why don't you change the law? If you don't like, I do whatever is necessary for my benefit within the law. I don't see anybody on the right side attacking Donald Trump for stating that he will go to the limit of the law to do what he needs to do. Now, of course, the guy is civilly criminal because of what he's done with all the different free enterprise projects that he had where he built people. But that's another story. Let's see, Rhonda, what criminal, like you're correct from asking Ledo what criminal, because they can't, there's absolutely nothing criminal about the Clintons that anybody can come up with. Funny stuff, Egberto, you do not get all call for bipartisanship and then ignore political reality to shill for, listen, I shill for anybody who is being abused. I've also shilled for Republicans, I guess, because I've come to the defense of many a Republican folk before. But in this case, this is an outright misuse of power. This is a misuse of power by both Congress, inching on the director of the FBI. And there's no two ways about it. But what I think this will do, what I'm pretty sure this will do in the long run, and this is what I was talking about, John, is I think I saw a lot of people that were pretty much, they pretty much conceded that Hillary was going to win. Both Democrats and Republicans, even some that were going to vote for Trump. And you ask them if they're going to vote, they said no. Well, Trump has a new thing out on social media, and he has it on these pieces, and I think it's a real thing. 713, I'm coming to you. 713-249, I'm coming to you in a minute. And I think it's a real thing, and I think it's an important thing. I think what it does is it tells folks you have to go out there and vote, because it is going to energize his base who thought he was a lost cause, which means the Democratic base has to become doubly energized as well. Rhonda says it is insane to believe that Clintons have been able to conduct criminal activity for 30 years. Yeah, I mean, again, it's wishful thinking on those on the right. They've never been able to get them. Okay, 713-249, you're hot. Who do I have the honor of speaking with?
Yeah, this is Diggs, Egberto.
Hey, Diggs, how are you doing, my friend?
Man, I'm doing fine, man. You're sounding good, looking good, my friend.
Well, thank you. Talk to me. What add to the debate. What do you want to tell us?
Well, really, you got a guy on there that said he's waiting for a bipartisan critique. Okay.
Right.
So let me give it to him.
Okay.
The Clintons, they've gone through the investigative and court process and have been found innocent of any wrongdoing, okay? So they've gone through the system, and the system says they're clean. But the Republican Party wants to say that they're dirty because they've just been exposed to that type of, ridicule. On the Republican side, when you look at Donald Trump, it's not the nasty things that he says. We already know what he's more or less just a common average guy with money, okay?
Right.
But not much brain, okay? But the thing is that with Donald Trump, his situation is he should be in jail for treason. If anybody should go through the system, it should be him. Anytime you go to a longtime enemy of the United States, the Russians, and ask them to hack into America, okay, because that's who they're hacking into.
Right.
For any political candidate, anybody who's held office before or is holding office now, to bust into their emails or anything else, that's treason.
Yeah, I mean, it's You're right, Diggs, and it's a lot deeper as well, right? This is a man who has he has not only hurt, he has not only committed that type of treason against America, but he's also built the American people. Trump University comes to mind. All the people from building his hotels come to mind. Those people that he refused to pay come to mind. Telling the steel workers that I am going to be good for you. I'm going to create jobs. Yet he built these expensive hotels and he uses steel from where? From China and other places. If you're really for America, you would pay the price to make sure that Americans get their higher wages by being willing to buy more expensive steel. I know for him it makes no business sense because yes, we understand unfettered capitalism. Unfettered capitalism has no faith in humanity. It is just about the capitalist being able to make the last buck, and that the average human being is nothing more than a commodity. When after this election, we are gonna be doing a whole lot of shows on what it really means to be an unfettered capitalist and why it is a disaster for the average American citizen. Where we'll be talking that at some other point. But a very important point to note as well is that people who like to tout that this great guy, Mr. Trump, is a genius. He's so good at business. The monies that were seeded him, the seed money he received, had that been invested in simply the S&P average, in some sort of S&P fund, he would be worth much more than he's currently worth. What that means is, as a businessman, he's a failure. If you compare where he started compared to where some other folks have started, like the richest man in America, what's his name?
Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett. Right.
Buffett.
Where Warren Buffett started, Warren Buffett used the capitalist system to build, and then when he got the spoils of unfettered capitalism, what did he say? What did Gates say? They realized that is much, and they won't say it quite loudly, but they understand unearned gains belong to the commons, and that's exactly what they're doing with their wealth. They're returning their wealth to the commons. But we can't trust that all capitalists are going to behave in that manner. Look, there's a reason to have capitalism used as a tool. I have no problem with that, but not as an ideology. And in America, it's an ideology, and it's a false ideology that many people who are voting for Trump believe in, because they believe the fallacies that somehow it is going to make their lives better, which it is what is directly responsible for destroying their lives. The coal miner, it has destroyed their lives. The oil digger, they've destroyed their lives. Those people who worked in all the textile industries and all these other industries, Trumpian type capitalism destroyed their lives, and they're trying to equate that into something else. You wanted to add to that? Somebody wanted to add to that?
Yes.
Go ahead, Diggs.
Yeah. Do you remember what Buffett said?
Yes.
Buffett made a statement that it is a shame that he pays less taxes than his secretary.
Absolutely.
And he's made the statement that yes, he needs to pay more taxes. Now, that's the American ideology. On the opposite side, you got Trump, who's anti-American.
Right.
He doesn't pay his workers. He files bankruptcy to shield himself. He calls that smart. We call that underhanded. Because we wind up picking up the tab.
Exactly.
Picking up the tab for his
Every time he went bankrupt.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so the people are actually are trying to elect somebody that's anti-American, that is against them, that won't do anything for them. He'll do everything for himself.
And that is now
and call it smart.
That is our responsibility, though, because again, what we don't want, that we don't want to hold the underinformed, the misinformed, the ill-informed. We don't want to hold that against them. Let me tell you, it is very powerful. The right wing. And I would challenge you to go to my site, theliberalnetwork.com, and click on the right side and read this thing called, actually, I think I have it at egbertowillies.com. Go ahead on the right side for where I have a set of links for education, and read this thing called the Powell Manifesto. Okay, and it's important because there was a lot of money spent to effect the Powell Manifesto. This money was, if you go to my website, and I think you go to, let's see if you go to research on the top and then click on, I'll have to tell you about it a little later because now I can't find it. But I'll have to tell you about it later. But if you go there, you can read the Powell Manifesto and see how it was orchestrated to misinform people, to indoctrinate people into a false ideology in order to maintain the supremacy of the business class. And of course, you know, the business class came with another kind of supremacy as well. So I mean, that was the intent of the Powell Manifesto when it was realized that folks like the labor unions were getting powerful. The universities were enlightening people so that people started to ask, well, why am I not getting my piece of the pie? And if everybody starts asking for their piece of the pie, what happens is everybody realizes that billionaires should never exist. And let me repeat that. Billionaires should never exist. Nobody has done enough work. Nobody has contributed enough to society to be themselves a billionaire, when it is the work and brains and blood and toil of everybody else that has given them the wherewithal for everything that they have. I'm not saying that they're not ingenious in a lot of times in the way they produce, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't pay a premium for some of that because they were the organizational effect. Bill Gates was the organizational system that created Microsoft, that made him and several others billionaires. But those billions weren't earned. Those billions were a mathematical and economic fiction because of an aberration within capitalism. And we have to put within the brains of people. We have to get people believing that reality. They've been indoctrinated into believing that somehow those with billions are worthy. And that is what we're fighting with Trump. Trump gets a pass. Trump gets several passes. And for all my white friends, I must say this, but he gets the white man's pass. He also gets the billionaire pass. He also gets the male pass. You know, Obama did get the male pass. He didn't get the other pass. So, I mean, having a Hillary in this mix, the amount that she is going to have to take to cross that boundary, and to let other women understand that it's okay. Because Hillary Clinton's problem is not just men. Hillary Clinton's problem is also women. Women who, it is, and Diggs and other folks that are in some minority group, let's say Black, Latino, Chinese, whatever, that in America is the minority. There is a certain slave mentality that one has. And that slave mentality comes from because you have not seen that realization here. You believe that it's not possible. And Hillary has to cross that boundary. She has to cross that boundary, not just for the average person. She has to cross that boundary for women. Because still, if you look at the evangelical women who believe in the crap that they read, that somehow the man must be the dominant. Somehow, that is an anti-Clinton vote. And it's women as well that won't be voting for Clinton. Let me go to another call. I think we have 314. Come on in. Who do I have the honor of speaking with?
You know, this last batch of FBI, and shall I say revelations,
Yes.
is good.
Okay.
It reveals exactly what this woman is all about.
And that is?
I'm African American. I'm supporting Donald Trump.
Okay.
And I never in the years that I've been alive have seen so much attacks on an individual candidate.
Mm-hmm.
This is totally ridiculous. And hopefully that the whites will get off their butts and off the couch and get out and support this candidate.
Okay, let me ask you something. What's your name, sir?
My name is Pianki. I'm located here in the St. Louis region where some candidate has yard signs all over the place called "We Must Stop Killing Ourselves." I never met the person.
Okay. Tianki, let me have a little bit of questions for you, and let's see where we're at. What specifically is the reason that you are supporting Donald Trump? And give me some short sentences. Give me some points, bullet points.
Well, you mean some of the things that he proposed?
No. Tell me why, as a person, you believe Donald Trump is good for this country, and what is he going to do for you as an elected president?
I shouldn't ask Donald Trump to do no more for me than what I've asked the Clintons to do.
I understand, but
so why should I expect that? I want you to understand that.
Yes.
Okay. But some of the things, as far as the black community is concerned, his ideas on school choice would be tremendous.
Really?
His ideas on legal.
And what are those ideas? What are those ideas, sir?
School choice, where a parent can choose what school, what environment that they feel best for their child, and also to have vouchers to follow that child.
Great. I love that you said that, because I want to examine that. How much research have you done on school choice?
I've been doing a lot of research on school choice. We was the first one to file a lawsuit here in the state of Missouri.
Okay, then you should realize that a lot, because I'm a blogger that's blogged about it. Now, have you realized that charter schools, their performance, they well underperform public schools? You realize that, right?
No, that's not true. And I can tell you, here in St. Louis, we have a construction training school, which does very well. It acclimates young students.
And I believe you. Hold one second. I believe
it does well in preparing them.
Tianki, I believe you.
To what was called a charter school, huh?
Tianki, I believe.
You gonna let me?
Yeah, but I want short points so that we can have a discussion. I believe you, first of all, that particular school may be a good school. I'm saying in the aggregate, charter schools are not that their performance, or they well underperform public schools. And secondly, simply by arithmetic, there are two things that happens with charter schools, right? One is that given that they remove money from the public schools, and secondly, not only do they remove money from the public school, but because most of them have a profit motive, the profit becomes an expense to the children. Don't you agree?
Well, let me ask you a question before you go too far. How did you get on charter schools?
Why?
I said school choice.
Because
charter schools is just another form.
I understand.
Public schools is another form. Private schools is another form.
Again?
And the idea that what you said is just not true.
It's absolutely true.
Point, it doesn't take money. Sir, you're just like a typical Democrat when a Republican is talking.
Okay. Go ahead, make your point.
I'm a conservative.
Make your point.
As I was saying before, it does not take money. The money that here, presently charter schools, since you was on that topic, presently charter schools where parents take their child to, here in St. Louis, you have about $16,000 that's allocated to that child if he's sitting in a traditional chair, in a traditional building. Only about $6,000 follow that child to the charter school. That means you got $10,000 still left in the public school system with no child to attend to. So how are they losing money? Go ahead.
Yeah, I really question those numbers.
I've seen them
because that
here
goes against everything I've ever read about that.
Here in the city of St. Louis, I give you my phone number: 314-677-4953. Those figures.
It is actually a false statement, and let me tell you how false it is. Let me just say this first. It's a false statement. What they used to come up with the 16,000. Let me tell you what they used to come up with the 16,000. They used capitalization on the schools and all of those different factors. The reality is the numbers that he should be using, which he's not using, is how much money the legislature gives each year per student to the school, and it's not $16,000 at all.
In the city of St. Louis, we had Beaumont High School years ago, where the average daily attendance revenue was over $20,000 per child. In the city of St. Louis, it's between $14,000 and $16,000, depends on how much, whatever you want to call it here, gist that the school gets. We have some schools here that don't receive hardly no federal assistance other than the students that's going is on free and reduced lunch, and very little or none from the state. They are locally funded, and they do outstanding.
Okay, again,
Those schools are Clayton. Wait a minute. Those schools are Clayton and Ladue.
now, as I said before, you're simply wrong. And I'll go. What I'll do at the end of this show is put the valid information out for my
Give me a contact
system.
number where I can contact you, where we can have this discussion long. Since you saying I'm wrong,
You can go to
and you never
Egberto.
haven't been here.
Go to Egberto. Actually,
I won't be going to no generic website. Give me a number where we can.
No.
talk
What
to
I'm
you.
saying is that's where my information is. You go to Egberto Willis, and my contact information is right there. I don't hide it from anybody. You
All
even,
right, you got
you even
my
get a phone
contact
number.
on your screen.
Yes,
the
you-
314 number. You call me up and we'll discuss this further. I
Well-
dare you.
Well, it's not
Thank
about
you.
it's not about daring you, sir. It's that I just don't need to waste time with folks that aren't giving good that are lying to folks. Because you come on my show and you were able to put out the lie, and then behind closed doors I refute you. No, I refute you online, because that's the way the rest of America gets to see the truth, as opposed to trying to refute you on an individual basis. Go ahead, John. It seems like you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons why charter schools also are so favored by Republicans is because they don't have in most states they don't have unions, and public schools do
Right.
have unions. And so when you were talking about the ways that people can actually make their life more fair, the two ways that are very distinct are to actually increase taxes on the rich to what they were between the period after World War II and
Right.
the Reagan era, which there was more fairness in the middle class and in the working class, and there was more prosperity
Right.
in those two areas also. And the other one is to form unions. And there were more unions also, and just like you said in the Powell Manifesto, their doctrine, the unions have been slipping, and that's why all this income inequality
Right.
has happened. Those are the two main reasons. And so, of course, they love charter schools.
But
they love to say, let's not have as teachers that aren't as qualified, who don't form unions, who we don't have to pay as much. And then you can kind of go from there. So that's one of the main reasons for that.
But it's and also it is it's the ideology of privatization. It's the ideology of privatizing everything. If you notice on my show on KPFT 90.1 FM on Thursdays at 3 p.m., I mentioned about the toll road systems. It's like here in Texas, we're all under Republican control, and we're trying to privatize everything. We have the school district here in Humble, Texas, who pulled the fast one on the people in Humble, where they actually brought in a superintendent whose real intent is to start the charter schools and start all these type of private things going. They're fooling the people in the state. I mean, in the district, but like the toll roads. We're trying to privatize everything. And what privatization means is that as opposed to a government collecting taxes that helps us all, or that is distributed throughout to make the commons better, privatization means some fat cat, whoever is the owner of the school, whoever is the owner of the roads, whoever is the owner of all the things that we thought were common to us all, are the ones who you pay, and they make a profit. In effect, they siphon the wealth off of a few individuals, siphon the wealth off the majority of American citizens. They become little governments within their own right, taxing us for the commons. It is an aberration. That's something we have to get with. And I see that, let's see, I think this is my friend from, is this Jack? Come on in, Jack.
Yeah.
Talk to me real quickly,
Three
Jack.
things I want to say.
Yes.
Okay, there's three things I want to say. Hillary, they got all that crap
Right.
that it was 25, 30 years back is irrelevant.
Right.
There should not have been even a discussion on that.
Absolutely.
It's going back, McCarthyism, and it's going back, it's crapping on both Trump and Hillary Clinton.
Right.
I want to say that Trump will take the chipper vote.
Right. Okay, what's your second point, John? I mean, Jack?
Good point.
Go ahead, Jack.
Okay. I'll take which I'm very much against. I can't think of the name of it now. It slips my mind.
What is it about?
It's Clipper.
Okay, I tell you what, think about it and we'll come back to you, Jack. Think about it, write it down, and then...
Okay. All right. Let me say another thing. He will take, it'll be a close race in certain areas.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Jack. You're great as usual. Now, look, folks, let me tell you, Jack is absolutely right. It's going to be a close race. It's going to be definitely a close race that's coming on here. And I think my concern is Jack, not Jack, but to John, is I think unless we mitigate this attack from the FBI, unless we mitigate it quickly and reactivate folks and I hope those polls don't move too much, what's going to happen is the House will not be in play at all. I think the Senate is going to be a little tighter than we would have hoped for. But I think what we have to do, if those people who really think that Hillary Clinton is the best choice, it is time to get, like I said, the blessing is that for those of us who for those who thought that this race was a foregone conclusion, it is time now to get off your butts and do some work to make those calls. I know a lot of you would get some MoveOn.org message that says, hey, do you want to call folks in these swing states? Say yes and go on. If they get 10,000 people calling 1,000 people, if they get 10,000 people calling 50 people a piece or 30 people a piece or however many you can do a piece, you can do it generally from your laptop, from your cell phone, anywhere. Because what it's going to take is some activation here, because it is clear that with all the money Hillary Clinton has, what she needs most is not advertising on TV, which she has to do, but it's also grassroots. Somebody who knows somebody who can also say, please do remember to go out there and vote. So, I mean, we're coming to the close of the show. So, Jack, I'm going to come back to you in a few seconds so that you can give a closing statement. So please be prepared with your closing statement, Jack. Give me your closing statement, John.
Okay, I'm looking up this thing about the public schools. In Washington, D.C., the average in charter schools is 18,150, and
Right.
the public schools are 10,408.
Right.
That's consistent with everything I've ever read.
Of course.
So, I mean,
90
right.
seconds.
I mean, just to confirm that. Also, I think the Senate races are a lot closer. I mean, this kind of feeds into your narrative about let's go out and vote.
Right.
Those Senate races, there's 5 races within 2 points.
Right.
So, I mean, those polls have tightened a little bit, too, besides the McGinty race in Pennsylvania.
Right.
So I want to encourage everybody to go out and vote. That's the most important thing. And, I guess we'll have one more show next Saturday.
Yes.
And then after that, the 8th is the big day.
It's the big day. I'll be at KPFT. We are going to have an election coverage. But, hey, look, thank you very much for calling, John. Keep on keeping on and keep on doing what you do. Jack, give me a 10-second closer, quickly.
Okay, it's going to be, it begins with a T,
Uh-huh.
and and compared to Facebook's social program.
Twitter.
It just slipped my mind, but Trump will take that vote of the tripper vote.
Got it. Thank you very much, Jack. Folks, look, let's continue the debate. Do remember, please, to go ahead and share these shows. Also, if you're online, please remember to go to my page, Politics Done Right with Egberto Willies, and click like so that we can keep you informed. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. You guys have a wonderful day. Okay, my Facebook users, our listeners, thank you for
using Blog Talk Radio.
Thank you for being here for the show. Let's continue to do what we have to do to make sure that this election turns out right. We don't need to be fearful. We don't need to be panicky. What we need to do out there is get out and do the job. When MoveOn.org tells me that it's time to make some calls, I'll be making some calls. I will be doing my little part, but mostly I'll be doing a hell of a lot of talking. You're going to see me on Facebook outside of Politics Done Right, just trying to encourage folks and using my reach as best as I can to try to encourage people to vote why they need to vote. Christy Cahill, vote blue down the ballot. Absolutely. Christy Cahill in PA here voting for McIntyre. I love that you're doing that. That's important. Marianne Castiglia. Okay, good to know about phone banking. Absolutely. Go to moveon.org. You should find some information there. I got an email a few days ago to do that. I didn't take up on that one that time. Christy Hill said FBI should be working around the clock and this weekend to resolve immediately. I agree with you, Christy. Yes, it's expensive. Do we want free education? Do we want for-profit education? That's the worst thing that you could have, for-profit education. People somehow cannot discern that there are things that it's okay to have a profit motive, and there are things that should be the common, should have nothing to do with profit. All of my listeners, thank you very much for being here. You guys have a wonderful Saturday, and let's move on and let's go ahead and do what's necessary to get the right people elected. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you guys on Facebook throughout the week. Bye-bye. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right. 1, 2, 3, 4.